close, uncomfortably close, okay?
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I got it. Thank you.
No.
I could see my name on the sheet when you were standing up here, so that was brutal. Just so you know. That was really rough. My name's Bryan. When I was about 15 or 16, I got a job with the Fargo Park District as a cashier and locker room attendant for the Southwest Recreational Pool, which is a view into the abyss of the tragedy of humanity, to be honest. And I just had to learn that people, whilst inherently good, are also inherently evil. Especially children. Children as well are horrible things. They're lovely to you, and it's lovely when they're in the pool with the water wings, which are not allowed, by the way. Coast Guard approved life jackets only, please. You'll find the tag on the back. But there are a lot of stories that come out of the locker rooms, and the usual progression is you be a cashier for one summer, maybe 2 summers if you're lame, and then you take the lifeguard training and become a lifeguard because the pay's better and it's less weird when you're looking at the girls in the one piece. I did not opt for that because I'm not a strong swimmer. One will note that the Southwest Recreational Pool has a depth of 3.5 feet. But you have to take the test in the deep pool, and you gotta swim down to the bottom of it, and I wasn't having any of that. And so I was happy with the pay raises they were giving me every summer, and so I continued to be a cashier at the Southwest Recreational Pool for 5 summers. Which is rough. It's rough when you graduated from high school and then return to that high school to clean the toilets of that high school. And most of my friends went on to be lifeguards and then leave and get a real job after that, and I was still a cashier. But there's something about a hot summer day once it breaks about 95 degrees, which happens, that 2 days every summer. Something turns in the children. If anybody is aware of the Fargo Youth Commission, they were the best and worst customers we ever had. They were the best because they all had season passes sewn onto their suits. And so when they'd come in, it would be one leader with 12 children, and then they'd just parade them all by, and I'd click them all in, whereas the rest of the people who come in would come up and have to pay individually, and we'd have to argue about whether or not your child wants a water slide pass because you couldn't have figured that out in the car. And it was $1.65 per child, which is horrific for change to the cashiers out there. It's horrible. And so Youth Commission was great. They just all filed by. But you may have noticed the one adult and the 12 elementary school children that they're now going to submerge in water in the back with little to no supervision, because the leaders stay in a group, a ring of about 6 leaders, so that's 6 children being supervised by this one entity of adults. And so things will slip through. But what they would do is they'd split up at the end of the session, and 3 of the leaders would stay in the pool area, and 3 would go out to get the buses in order to pick up all the kids, have them sit in their little squads and that sort of thing. And so nobody was in the locker rooms for these kids as they came back in, and the quiet in the room tells me you are now seeing some of the tension in this story. So it's 95 degrees outside, and the tick in the children has started to happen when they become more animal than child. And they come out single file, one group, and then another group behind that group, and another group behind that group, and the leaders will come out and then go back and get the other one. So they don't really see the connectivity with which child is which. It's just a blur of bowl cuts and life jackets. And there's 2 children that are important to our tale. One is a young blonde boy. I never caught their names. And the other is a young dark-haired boy. And the blonde boy is in front of the dark-haired boy. And I was noticing that something was amiss in the locker room as they were getting ready. The tensions were high in the prison yard. And they start coming out in single file, and dark-haired boy has his towel. Blonde-haired boy seems very introverted in this moment and very quiet and to himself. Usually a sign that the kid's been getting kind of shoved a little bit. He's getting picked on in the back, and so he's keeping to himself. Very, very normal. The brown-haired kid has his towel behind him, and he's taking that towel and whipping him over the back of the head with the towel as they walk. Also, kind of normal, unfortunately. And he's just hitting him with the towel and hitting him with the towel. And I watched the moment where the young blonde boy broke. And I've never seen another human being completely see red and lose himself in that moment. And our young blonde hero turns around, grabs the brown-haired kid by the hair in the back of the head, grabs him, whips him around, and starts smashing his face into the concrete wall. It was beautiful. And with the war cry from Full Metal Jacket, he put on the war face and became this primal and just beat his face in. And I was sitting in between two cashiers, and I was the tallest of all of them. I just kind of stepped over one and went, and the kid weighed like 45 pounds. And so you just picked him up, and he's still just all fist, just kid. And once I got him into my arms, he limped out like a noodle and just started crying that, I got him. But just the weeping of the fight adrenaline is still coursing through him, and he's got nothing to do with it. And so he just cries. And the other kid staggers up and just does. And what was weird was usually when the kid, and this is where the story got really confusing, is when the kid who gets his face smashed into the wall stands up, it's usually mom, where's dad, or where's teacher. It's one of those three, and you get real suspicious when he gets up and just wanders off like nothing even happened. And he has no interest whatsoever in getting back at this kid. And so it was deduced that our hero, our blonde victim, in fact was not the victim, which got really bad. Turns out the dark-haired kid has a really adorable younger cousin, and blonde-haired kid was shoving him and holding his head under the water in the pool. Yeah, and so there was some weird, bizarre prison justice taking place. And it turns out the blonde kid was a lot harder than the dark-haired kid had anticipated. And they got out into their squads, and they get all laid out in the rows. And this group of youth commission people came up to me before I was the first responder on scene. And they gather around. And remember, these are anywhere between there's always 16 to 20-year-old kids for youth commissions, and then one actual adult. I don't know if they assign an actual adult, or he did 5 years at the youth commission too long, perhaps. But he was the sergeant, man. Again, back to Full Metal Jacket. He was R. Lee Ermey screaming at these children, and they adored it. They loved the discipline. And he came up to me and said, "So what happened?" And I told him the same story that I just told you guys. I said, "Okay. Well, we're going to take care of this, Bryan. I hope you understand. We're going to take care of this." I said, "Okay. I don't really care what you do. But if they could not do that again, that's fine. I'm going to go wash the wall, and then I'm going to go back to work." And that is the Ballad of Face Smash Kid.